Audrey Lord from Thousand Oaks, California writes in to goodplayingwithyou@gmail.com, just like you can. And she asks, in all of your gaming career, what are some of the biggest disappointments you've faced in gaming? Lord, why don't you start?
Sure. The one game that immediately came to my mind was Splitgate. Now, this was a game that had such a great concept. It was a mix of Portal and Halo, two of the goats. And you basically just shoot a portal on one wall, you shoot a portal on the ground, you can go and do all sorts of tricksy stuff on the map.
Sounds cool.
It was great, but it was so sweaty. It was beyond sweaty.
Like,
and the audio
sweatier than Overwatch 2, perhaps?
Sweatier than Overwatch 2, believe it or not, or any Call of Duty. I could not believe how sweaty this game was. And then the audio was atrocious. And they never fixed it. And I was like, I can't play this game anymore. The audio is, you would think someone is like above you, but they're really like to your, like right next to you, to your left. Like it was bad. And so that was a big disappointment, but it had so much potential and they blew it.
Oh, that is a bummer. Looking at the list, my first one I wanted to mention was, of course, Friday the 13th. And that was a game that was so full of potential. Yes, I know, Maulding, you hated this game, and that's completely fine because it's fun and you hate fun games. But this game was really cool because, yes, it looks a little bit janky, but you were a teenager and you ran around and, just like in the movies, trying not to get axe murdered. And then if you all teamed up, you could actually kill Jason. But that's not the point. The point here was this game was really, really fun. It didn't take itself seriously. You could run around in a bikini or bathing suit. You could just hang out with your buddies and do crazy dances and try and escape to the police and live. But it was essentially like almost like a tag game with Jason, tagging you with an axe. But and it was essentially 7 of us running from one person. The game was pretty much like a party. It was pretty great. On the weekends, it had a really great community. And then, of course, unfortunately, they lost the rights to Friday the 13th, and they had to essentially shut it down. And one of the reasons this is my biggest disappointment, because I've made some of the best friends I have online through this game, but systematically they have been removing features and chopping this thing to bits, removing servers, removing like little bits here and here, killing any sort of fan mods that have been, they just killed one last week, that are trying to resurrect the game. And then eventually they removed it for sale. They're removing it from sale, and then eventually the game won't work at all anymore, like Maulding and like Lord and the crew. But this game was just in its day. It had so much potential. They were adding to it. It felt like a party. They're the least toxic community. Well, except for the people that tried to run over you in the car. Those people are a-holes, and I was probably banned for telling them. But it was a great game, and the fact that it went nowhere, and no one's ripped off the formula. That's the problem. It's a really good formula. It's like I keep saying, someone needs to make another GTA because the formula is great. Someone needed to make another Friday and rip that off, because while I'm looking forward to Killer Clowns and the Outlast trial is kind of scratching that itch, nothing fills the hole in my heart that Friday had. And so that is my pick for one of my biggest disappointments.
The only thing good about that game was the spatial audio chat. That's the only thing that I think every game should take, is that spatial chat. But my choice for not a disappointing game, but a game I'm disappointed about, was that Titanfall 2 failed so miserably commercially. Like, it did not make a lot of money back. Such a fantastic game. The run and gun first person shooting was stellar. You had wall runs, you had great guns, and then you had mechs. You called in mechs. It was fantastic. You jump in these mechs, you could style them how you wanted with the weapons that you wanted, and then you'd battle other mechs. What is not good about that? Like, that should have been a #1 game. But unfortunately, it came out between Battlefield 1, which was somehow a success, and one of the Call of Duty, I think Modern Warfare, or one of the Call of Duties came out. It was sandwiched in between those two. So unfortunately, it failed to make an impression on a lot of gamers. got a lot of critical acclaim.
It was fun.
But
it was a great game.
It was super fun. A good online battler, like lots of fun online play. But probably they will not make a Titanfall 3 because the developers all put all their effort into that battle royale game that I'm blanking on right now that uses all the Apex Legends.
Yeah.
Yes, so that would be mine. What about you, Lord? Do you have another one?
And that's gonna have to be just circling right back along to Overwatch 2. Oh boy, this game can't seem to get it right, unfortunately. I honestly, like, besides the transactions that they add to this game, which I think are just totally crazy, I actually feel like loot boxes were a better option at this point, because at least with the loot box you have some fun, like at
that least fun is called gambling, by the way.
you get gambling going, at least. Like, that is, I think, not bad. And honestly, I just think 5v5 is garbage. Personally, you need a second tank. Nobody wants to play tank anymore because they don't want to have that responsibility, and I don't blame them. So just they need to get 6v6 back. And then finally, my last little bit, they scrapped the PvE, which was the whole point of Overwatch 2. So now we're just with a game that is basically a soulless version of Overwatch 1, which I thought was just superior. So that's kind of I'm still gonna probably log on right after this session. So, and I can't stop playing. That's the strangest part, but it's a bit of a disappointment.
Glutton for punishment, we are.
I know, we really are. Jeez.
Well, my second one that I had to pick is Cyberpunk 2077, and it's not just the launch. I know everyone thinks that they loved it. It just take a while. It eventually get there. But I'm here to say no. Actually, this game never did. I waited, all through the pandemic in the early months, waiting for a really good game, and the hype around this thing was incredible, and I couldn't wait. I had it pre-ordered. I had everything. And then the game was released and we got a chance to play it. And like, hearing Maulding's review just immediately kind of put me on my heels. And I was like, oh man, The Witcher 3 was such a great game. My expectations were so high on this, and it came out of the gate just a dud. So I immediately, I looked at it, I played a bit, but then I played enough to know it wasn't quite ready to go. And then I refunded it. Thank you, Microsoft. And then I waited a year, and then eventually was like, oh, okay, everyone's like, this big update's out. Now's the time now to jump into Cyberpunk. So I did. And I got to say, the game still sucks. It's just not a good game. Fundamentally, the game sucks. And I know that hipster nerds are trying to rewrite history and say, oh, they're pulling a No Man's Sky. No, they aren't, because the game is not good. It just fundamentally, even though that it works now, it isn't fun. The story isn't good. The same player movements and all the same stuff. It never clicked for me. I didn't care about Night City, and everyone's talking about it like it's this gem of a architectural creation. I don't know. No, move on. I'm ready for Witcher 4. I'm done with Cyberpunk. It's dead and it sucks.
I was gonna say, just it cannot be compared to Witcher 3, because Witcher 3 might be just the most top tier storytelling,
best storytelling. It's incredible.
And then I think if you're expecting that with Cyberpunk, you definitely do not get it.
No,
because I don't think it tells a very good story.
Yeah,
unfortunately,
it sucked.
It tells a story? I didn't even know it did. Keanu Reeves was abysmal in that game. He was so uncomfortable to watch in that game.
But Maulding.
So I'm gonna do a quick honorable mention to Ghosts and Goblins that I bought in 1984. I was so excited for this game because of Nintendo Power. got out, bought the game. My little peanut hands got a hold of it, and I couldn't pass the first level because it was so hard, and I was so disappointed in that. But the real disappointment is probably controversial, but I think Dragon's Dogma 2 is my biggest disappointment in a long time. I was so hyped for this game, very excited. I finished it. I did what I needed, but as soon as I finished it, I played a little bit of New Game Plus just to see what was happening, and then I deleted it from my hard drive. It's gone. I will probably never play that game again. It was $70 that I got a 90 hours or whatever. I don't even think I put 90 hours, 60 hours probably into it. And yep, I'll never play it again.
Rough, but I agree.